Do you think fairy tales are true? That's how Josh and Christina Hall fell in love. Fans love seeing Josh and Christina in all kinds of situations, from fancy red carpet events to private family times. What the couple went through behind the scenes, though, was so scary and unthinkable that it instantly broke their bond. Josh Hall filed for divorce from Christina right away. What might have been going on behind the scenes? This story will keep you on the edge of your seat as you find out. To fully understand how serious Josh and Christina Hall's quick divorce was, we need to go back in time and look at what happened before that terrible day. Josh and Christina were the perfect example of a power couple. They looked great on red carpets and seemed to have a great life together. Many people wished they had their love story because it was full of big gestures and public shows of affection. As they went to fancy events, they always smiled and were always with each other. The press loved them, and fans believed the fairy tale they told and followed their every move. They were business partners as well as romantic friends. They often worked together on projects that showed off both of their star power. Their marriage looked great from the outside. As we all know, though, looks can be deceiving, and the couple's life turned out to be much more complicated than they had imagined. Josh, a successful real estate mogul, and Christina, a well-known TV personality, saw that there were cracks in the top of their seemingly perfect life. Small signs of stress and strain began to show, but the loving public didn't notice. While there were rumors of trouble between the couple, they always managed to put on a united front. They still wrote sweet things about each other on social media, went to events together, and gave glowing interviews. But people who were close to them knew something was wrong. They were having a hard time keeping their marriage together after being together for so long. Hollywood was where the first rumblings of trouble in heaven could be heard. Fans and reporters who paid attention saw small changes in Josh and Christina's behavior. The couple that used to be together all the time started showing up together in public less often. When they did talk, it seemed like they were being more guarded. Their conversations were not as warm and spontaneous as they used to be. The stress was becoming clear to close friends and family. Josh and Christina were often seen talking to other people more than they were talking to each other at social events. When they used to talk, they laughed and looked at each other, but now their talks were more serious and far away. Emily Roberts, an actor and close friend of Christina's, said in an interview that Christina seemed less interested in things she used to enjoy and more distant. Several friends and co-workers shared their thoughts that helped make a clearer picture of the growing rift. A common friend who asked to remain anonymous said that Josh had told him that fights and misunderstandings at home were getting worse. Josh was always the cool one, but the friend said that even he looked upset and worn out. The makeup artist who had worked with Christina for years saw that she had changed. She was so happy and full of life before. She remembered that lately she seemed to be off and often got lost in her thoughts. The first signs that the golden couple's relationship was in trouble were these small but telling ones. So much work went into the couple's public image that fans and even some friends found it hard to think that something could be wrong. When they started skipping events every once in a while, it was thought that they were just too busy, and the quiet interactions were seen as a normal part of being in a long-term relationship. There was also media coverage that helped keep up the idea of a perfect marriage. Any bad rumors were drowned out by positive news stories and carefully chosen social media posts. As soon as reports started to spread, publicists quickly put an end to them. Their next public appearance, where they acted as a single unit, took center stage. It's clear now that the signs were there the whole time, but their fairy tale romance made it easier for everyone to ignore them. After that, a scary event happened one night. Someone did something so shocking that Josh had to end their marriage right away. In what horrible way did this happen? What happened? The last straw was a charity event with a lot of attention. It looked like any other night. The evening got off to a good start when the couple made their usual grand entry, posed for pictures, and mingled with other famous people. But as the night went on, it became clearer that they were having trouble with each other. Later, people who were there said that Josh and Christina got into a big fight in a quiet part of the venue. No one knows the exact details of what they said to each other, but it was clear that they were very angry. Christina screamed and stormed out of the room, leaving Josh to follow her and try desperately to calm her down. Christina is said to have thrown a glass at Josh out of anger, which made things much scarier. The glass broke, and a piece hit Josh and hurt him slightly. What did they disagree about? Does Christina get angry often? What if Josh had been hit in the head by the glass? A few of the guests were shocked when Christina threw a glass at Josh. Things got even worse when security was called to help the couple leave the venue individually. Josh looked like he was about to lose it. Due to the fact that the fight happened in public and was physical, it was clear that they could no longer be together. The event wasn't just a private matter, it was a public show that made both people feel bad about themselves and exposed what was going to come next. There were more details about the scary event that came out in the days and weeks after the charity dinner. Conversations between friends and people who knew what was going on began to make the events leading up to that night more clear. A lot of attention from the media made the neighborhood where Josh and Christina Hall lived less peaceful than normal. Press and paparazzi had already started to crowd, eager to get the first word on this big story. There was a lot of tension as everyone looked for the pair. Josh was seen rushing out of their house, his face showing signs of both exhaustion and worry. Casual clothes were on his back as he left his house with a small bag and a few own things. He moved quickly, almost frantically, as he stuffed his things into his car. As he drove off, the cameras caught every moment, with the flashes illuminating his worried face. Josh quickly left, and he didn't stop to talk to the reporters who were there. His quiet only led to more rumors about how bad things were. Josh's exit was very dramatic, but Christina couldn't be found. Since the event at the dinner, no one had seen her. The rapid disappearance of her added a layer of mystery to the drama that was already happening. Family and friends were tight-lipped and wouldn't say anything about where she was. Some people thought she had gone somewhere private to get away from the media attention and think people were worried about her health because she had been going through a lot of mental turmoil. The fact that Christina hadn't said anything made people even more interested and worried. As the days turned into weeks, the question of where Christina went started to fade. She finally came back and asked for privacy and understanding in a short statement through her publicist. She admitted what happened at the gala and said she was sorry for what she did. She also stressed the need for personal growth and thought. Although Christina apologized in public, Josh stayed mostly quiet, focusing on moving on with his life and starting over, and filing for divorce. Everyone had the same question about this new event. What could have caused such a big fight in public? A lot of information about the story got out because the media wouldn't stop looking into it. These people who say they are close to the couple gave information about how Josh and Christina's relationship works. According to one source, the couple had been going to marriage therapy for months to try to save their relationship. The couple always got into more fights after those meetings, so it looked like they did more harm than good. There was also the fact that Christina was having personal problems, such as anxiety and sadness. The stress of her job and the constant attention on her personal life made these mental health problems worse. The source said that Christina's mental health had been unstable for a while, which made her behavior at the charity event more unpredictable. For Josh, what happened at the gala was the end of months of mental stress and fights. It was his need to protect himself from more hurt and find a way to heal that led him to leave and start the divorce process. The real fight didn't start until after the dust settled, though. Both sides were getting ready for a fight over assets, reputations, and the remains of their once glamorous life together, so the divorce processes were not going to be easy. What hidden truths would come to light in court, and what would happen in this high-stakes crime story? Many people were shocked when they announced they were getting a divorce, but those who had been paying close attention knew that when Christina went back to her given name, Evans, it meant the end of their time together for good. The court case between Josh and Christina Hall did, in fact, have a lot of twists and turns that kept the public and media on edge. One of the most shocking things that came up during the divorce proceedings was that neither side had told the other about the prenuptial agreement. This deal, which had been kept secret until then, was signed just a few days before their big wedding. It laid out specifics for how their assets would be split, and how they would pay each other's bills. The prenuptial agreement, which had been kept secret until the divorce was filed, became the main point of disagreement. When this paper was found, it made the case even more complicated, because both sides had different ideas about whether it was real, and what it meant. The deal was contested by Christina's lawyers for a number of reasons, such as fraud, duress, and unfairness. They said that the agreement was made in a way that wasn't completely clear and that it unfairly favored Josh, so it couldn't be enforced. The main point was that Josh hadn't told the truth about all of his assets when the contract was signed. Christina's lawyers showed proof that Josh may have hidden large amounts of money, which, if proven, could make the deal invalid. Financial records and witness statements were looked at by the court to see if there had been a plan to hide assets. She also said that she had been forced to sign the prenuptial agreement. She said in court that she felt rushed to sign the paper just days before their wedding, without having enough time to read it or talk to a different lawyer. When and how the agreement was signed were things that the court looked at to decide if Christina was pushed to agree to terms that she did not fully understand or agree with. In the end, the court decided that even though some parts of the deal were questionable, there wasn't enough proof to show that there was actual fraud or force, but everyone agreed that some parts of the prenuptial agreement were not honest and needed to be changed. The court said that some parts of the prenuptial agreement should not be valid. They specifically said that the unfair parts should not be valid. This meant that the deal would still be in effect, but its worst parts would be changed to make sure that assets were shared more fairly. But things were just getting interesting. Another twist happened when Christina's lawyers showed proof that Josh had been wrongdoing with money. It was said that he was hiding assets and sending money to accounts in other countries, which Josh strongly disputed. Not only did this new information make the legal fight worse, it also hurt Josh's reputation in the public eye, making people question his honesty. The accusations came up during a very heated part of the divorce process. Christina's lawyers were desperate to get a fair settlement, so they looked into Josh's finances in great detail. They found what they called a string of suspicious transactions, which led them to believe that Josh had been hiding assets to keep them out of the divorce deal. The evidence showed that Josh had reportedly moved large amounts of money to offshore accounts in different tax havens. It is said that these deals, which happened over a number of years, were meant to hide his real net worth and lower the amount he would have to pay Christina in the divorce. The lawyers also said that Josh's financial statements were allegedly false, saying that he had lied about his income and assets on purpose. Josh strongly denied the claims and said that all of his cash dealings were legal. His lawyers said that the deals were legal business activities that had nothing to do with the divorce. They fought back against Christina's claims with their own papers and expert testimony, saying there was no proof of wrongdoing. The court finally made up its mind after months of thought. Even though there wasn't strong proof of outright fraud, the investigation did find problems with Josh's financial reports. The court ordered a forensic audit of Josh's finances to make sure that the split of assets was clear and fair. While the court case went on, Christina chose to put her Tennessee home on the market for $4.5 million. The Tennessee home in Leiper's Fork is a beautiful estate with 6 bedrooms and 6 bathrooms that she bought for $2.5 million in February 2021. The land is 23 acres and has nice features like a pool, hot tub, 3-car garage, barn, and fenced-in places for animals. The house has a wood-burning stove, wood-beamed ceilings, walk-in closets, a mudroom, and a large chef's kitchen on the inside. This house was not only a place for Christina to relax, but it was also the setting for her HGTV show Christina in the Country. Why did she decide to put the house on the market? Josh had been living in the Tennessee house since they broke up, according to a temporary court order. This plan has, however, caused some trouble. Christina has openly said that Josh tried to steal from her and her kids by moving $35,000 of her money into his own account, saying that he was taking care of the properties. These claims have made the divorce even worse than it was before. The media has been going crazy over the sale of the house and the divorce procedures. When Christina posted on Instagram that she was going to put the house on the market, she was followed by a string of negative comments about Josh. Is Christina being hurt by Josh? Christina's lawyers made it clear from the start that her mental health would be a big part of the case. They went into great depth about how her anxiety and depression had gotten worse because of the stress of her job and the constant attention on her personal life. Christina's lawyers said that her job put a lot of stress on her. Because she was famous, people expected her to keep up a perfect public image. She had to balance her work duties with the demands of her fans and the media. According to them, this constant stress had made her mental health worse. Christina's legal team showed proof of the long hours, constant media attention, and personal sacrifices she had made to keep her job. Her lawyers talked about what happened at the gala, saying that it wasn't an act of loneliness or violence, but rather a sign of her ongoing mental health problems. To back up their claim, They showed medical papers and the opinions of experts. Do they mean what they say? Were Christina's worries and sadness affecting what she did? Having mental health issues is always a big deal. So when deciding on the final settlement, the court took Christina's situation into account. This was done to make sure she got the help she needed for her mental health. A former close friend of the pair testified that Josh and Christina had been living separate lives for months before the incident. This was the most shocking turn of events. The court and the people were both shocked by this testimony. The witness said that the couple had been putting on a happy marriage front for the public's sake, but behind closed doors they were already planning to split up. It was decided that the couple would try to keep up the appearance of a happy marriage to protect their careers and public image. With this arrangement, there were more heated arguments and failed efforts to get along. Divorce was talked about a lot of times, but because of the possible consequences, any official action had been put off. Their marriage ended not because of what happened at the gala, but because it was the event that made their private problems public. The fact that Josh and Christina had been living different lives for months made their divorce seem even more likely. It was clear that their relationship was already badly damaged before the public fight. As the court case went on, both Josh and Christina were closely watched and judged by the public. The events made people feel a lot of different things. Each new piece of information added to the drama. The unexpected turns and reveals during the court case reminded everyone that even relationships that seem perfect can have problems at their core. The scene in court changed Josh and Christina in ways that will never be the same. In the end, they reached a deal that showed how complicated their relationship was and how hard things had been for them. Even though everyone knows the truth, and Josh and Christina have been away from the events for a long time, people still have questions about them. How will Josh and Christina get their lives back on track after a painful and public breakup? Will they be able to move on with their lives, or will the memories of the past keep coming back to haunt them? What new stories are in store for them as they move on with their lives?